Hi, this is PD at BurgZerg Arcade at BurgZergArcade.com, and this is tutorial 217, I believe. Anyway, in our last tutorial, we had just finished getting our attributes hooked up and showing in game. So we come over to the character panel and we hit it. Here we go. We have all of our, well, at least what I have for attributes, my 7 attributes, and I have them displayed properly. And as you can see, I've gone ahead and did a little bit more work on my assets, and I've actually got the fat model showing up now. But anyway, today we're going to go ahead and hook up the vitals. So let's go ahead, we'll head right into the script. And I'm going to start off in game settings 2. Right here is where we're actually saving the vital, and we're loading a vital. And actually, these are the saving and loading of an array. And if we scroll up a bit, we have the actual saving of all the vitals, or sorry, a vital. And of course the loading up of a vital. I'm going to get rid of all this commented code out now. Just to keep my sanity a bit. And I'm going to come down here to our load vitals, and just like it was in our loading of attributes, when I initially wrote this, we did not have a static instance to our character. Since we do now, I don't need to actually load up all the vitals, store them in an array, and then pass them back. We can actually assign them directly to our character now, so we don't need to return anything. So I'm going to make this a void. I'm just going to comment this line out. And we don't need the return statement anymore. And I made the text a little too big. And, well, we don't even have to figure out the logic for a for loop. We can actually just come up to our attributes where we're loading them up. And see, here we are loading the attributes. I'm just going to copy this for loop. Come down to our loading of vitals. I'm going to paste it in right above it. And we'll just go through and make the edits that need to be made. So we're going to create a counter. We'll start it off at 0. We're calling it CNT. We're going to keep iterating through this loop until CNT is no longer smaller than the length of an enumeration. And that enumeration, where it's no longer attribute name, it's vital name. And then we just increase the counter. And so what are we going to do with this every iteration? We're going to call up our PC instance. We're not grabbing primary attributes anymore. We're going to be calling vital. And we'll want to have the index of that vital. So we just replace that part. And we're going to go through and we're going to not load attribute, but load vital. Actually, what we want is right down here. I'll just copy that. We'll paste it right up here. And that should be it. If we just take a look at the syntax, we have the, all we're doing is converting the counter into the proper attribute name. So we can get rid of all this, and we should be able to get rid of this too. So let's save this off, and I'm actually going to throw some debug code in here just to make sure it's loading up properly. So what I'm going to say is debug.log. And what do I want to put out? Let's grab this. So we'll grab the current vital that just got saved, and we're going to throw it some value from it. And the reason why I cannot access anything is because I'm missing a P at the front. Great, so we'll grab the current value, I guess. And we're just going to throw that out to the screen. And let's go over and see if we have any errors from that. We do not. So I'll just clear the console. I will start it up. We should get some debugs and have it on maximize on play. Let's turn that off. I'm not seeing anything, and that's because we're not actually calling the function from our PC script yet. So let's go into our PC script, and we'll want to find the function where we're actually loading the character. And we'll want to make sure this is after load attributes. Since our vitals and skills are based off of our attributes, we'll want to make sure that we have the attributes loaded up first. It's been a while since I've actually looked at the script, so I'm not sure if it actually matters once it's loaded into memory, and at least not until the first update's called. But just to be safe, let's load the attributes up first. And we're going to call load vitals here. And we'll just save that off. Then we have the hair, skin color, scale. Initialize is equal to true, so we'll go ahead. We're going to clear the console, start it back up. And it looks like the current values are being loaded up as 0. Okay, so that's actually the default, I believe. If I come back in and take a look, I want the actual loading up of a single vital, which is right here. And let me see, the base value, we're setting a default of 0. Experience to level, we're setting it to 0. So it actually is loading up as 0. I'm actually going to go ahead and open up a Finder. Now it's going to open up Xcode, which is fine. And I'm just actually going to look for my values here. So it looks like I have a 0 for base value, 0 for current value. Let me see, what else do we have? That was energy. We have health and wisdom. So here we are with health again, 0, 0, health. So apparently the values are not saving properly. And there's mana, which is fine. At least I know why it's not working. So I'm going to go ahead and actually just delete this whole file. And I'm actually going to go back in, and I'll have to change the scene. And well, we'll just start off with the main menu. And just to make sure that I'm actually clearing all the values out, I'm going to go down and click Clear Prefs. So when I start it back up, it'll automatically bring me to my character generation scene. Now, I'm going to have to maximize on play because the 720p that I recorded is not big enough to display the whole screen. So I'll just go ahead, type in a name, give him well, I'm going to mix it up a little bit. We'll give him some Constitution and some willpower. And if we take a look, these values are no longer changing. So I've screwed something up there. So that seems to be what the problem is. So I'm going to actually have to go in and take a look there. And that's in the next scene. Now I have been playing around with the actual style of my displays. So I might have screwed something up there behind the scenes, because I did have it working in the last tutorial I did covering it. But I'll go ahead and open it up and we'll just take a look. So I'll save the scene. We're going to come in. We're in the character generation, and it's just one script. And what I want to do is take a look at, well, where we're saving stuff. Right here. So we're saving the name, we're saving the attributes, and we're saving the vitals. I'm not deleting all anymore. There's a lot of stuff in here we can clean up. And since I do have another catching up video, that's why I'm actually going through and deleting all the comment stuff out. It just actually helps me keep sane a bit. Let me see, display the create button. Okay, there's a bunch of stuff here that I'll be deleting out. We don't even use this function anymore. I'll just go behind the scenes actually after and clean everything up. I assume everyone was just deleting stuff as they followed along. But anyway, here's display all the skills. We'll want to go above that. Display all of the vitals. And here's where I actually want to come in and start tweaking stuff, or at least throw in some debug logs. So here we are, we have a label. This displays the adjusted base value, and we have another one here that's displaying the vital name to string. So let me go back into the actual scene. We'll start it up and see actually what is being displayed. So it loads up. It's actually showing the health. So it is showing the label fine. It's the actual vitals that are not being displayed properly. And that would be right here. And there's two reasons why that's not displaying right. We want the actual adjusted, well, adjusted base value is fine. It would be nice to show you like 30/30. But for that screen, it's really not that important. But we have to figure out why the adjusted base value isn't working. So I'm going to throw a debug log statement right above it. And we'll want to call this. And to be honest, I think I already know why. And I think that's because the attributes that we actually have assigned for this to work off of, we might not actually have being assigned to our character yet. So actually, let me just check that out first. So we don't want to get vital. We want to get an attribute. And the attribute we want, it's an index and it's constitution. Let me just count down here. So it's 0, so it'll be number 1. And what I want is, let's go, I guess, base value. And it's a debug log, so we actually need to close that brace. And let's try this out here. We'll get a bunch of... So it is actually at 50, as you see down here. And I am increasing it, and it is going up. So that is working. So health and energy should be moving. So I'm just going to head back into MonoDevelop. And if we go up and take a look here where we're actually displaying our attributes, I notice it's displaying right up there. And we're displaying adjusted base value. Now, I don't really think it matters. But I'm going to switch this from base value to adjusted base value. I'll just hit clear. And we'll start it back up. And still nothing. Okay, well, we'll stop that off. Now, I know this was working the other day, so I'm trying to think exactly what have we done in the last few days. One thing I think of is we started to integrate our new character instance. And we're calling initialize in the awake function. And to be honest, this scene doesn't need it, and I think that actually might be the problem. So I'm just going to comment that out. Yeah, that's probably what the problem was. Let's go back in and try it. And sure enough, let's see. Yeah, that's what I thought. And of course, now as we raise our constitution, we notice that our health, energy, and the skills that are affected by it are raised and lowered. And the same thing for willpower. I guess it actually helps if I have some points to put into willpower. So there we go. Let's actually go ahead and finish this character off and see if it's displaying in game. Sure, let's see. Let's give him, I want some sort of facial hair, but not Tom Selleck-y. There we go. I'll make him blonde, we'll make him fat, we'll make him really fat and short. Let me see, that's good enough. I don't even want blonde hair today. I want gray hair today. And dark skin. There we go, we'll hit next, and there he is in game. And I had it displaying, so I thought. Actually, no, I just had it displaying in our console down here. So let me go in and actually comment out some of these debug lines. I'm actually just going to delete it, just so it cleans it up a little bit. And I'm going to go straight to my tutorial scene now, since I have a new character saved, and there should be values, and I can check them in the plist that's saved, but let's just load it up and see if it works this way. And let's get out of the maximize. Looks like they're still loading up as 0. So they're still not either saving right. So instantiate, awake, initialize. And we're still loading at 0. So let me go ahead and I'm going to pause the video for a second here and load up. So just give me a second here. I'm going to pause the video and load up my plist again. Actually, there's no point in doing that. Let's just actually start over from the main menu. And I'll clear it from there. And let's stop this scene first. So again, I'll come in, I'll make sure I have clear pref set. So we'll start it up. It's going to force me to make a new one. And I do have to go to maximize screen. So we put my name in. I'm just going to give him a bunch of constitution. It's easier to keep track of one number that's changed than a bunch of individual ones. So I have 120 constitution, so we're going to have 60 health, 120 energy. We'll hit next. I'm just going to take the default, and we go in, and I have not set it up, so let's go in, take a look, and we're saving 0. So yes, I am going to open up my little plist and take a look to see what's saved in there. Alright, so I'm inside of my plist. Now I'm taking a look here, and my energy base value is 0. The current value is 120. And the experience to level is 0. Now, if we take a look, what we're actually saving also is our adjusted base. Now, let's actually head over to the code and take a look here. Let's see where we're actually displaying it. So we're going to go to the character generator. And let me see, we want to display the vitals. And we're actually displaying the adjusted base value. Now, the adjusted base value takes into consideration the mods. If we actually opened up the script, that'll be under character right here. Well, vital inherits from modified stat, which is the one that has the adjusted base value. And let me see, adjusted base value right here. It returns the base value plus the buff value, we haven't added those yet, plus the mod value. And the mod value is all the modifiers that we have actually applied to this stat. So what we're actually doing is saving the base value, I believe. So let me just come back into this script, we'll take a look. Void static save vital. We're saving the base value, which actually is going to be 0 all the time for coming out of the character scene or the character generation scene. Experience to level and the current value. And as we see, they are actually saving. It seems to be having trouble calculating the base value again, or at least the adjusted base value on load. And to be honest, I'm not sure if I'm actually calling that yet. So I'm going to come in. I'm just going to call load vitals, which calls this script, which goes through. This is load a vital, so it comes down to load vitals. And let's see what our debug says. Oh, we're just putting out the current value. So our debug looks like it's coming out to 0. I'm going to run that again just from the tutorial level. Just to get a fresh set of numbers. We'll just hit clear. I'll just start it up. Take off maximize. Yes, I am getting 0 for current value. So we're going to look down here, and it should not be 0. It should be loading up just fine. So what I'm going to do is come up to where it's actually calling the load vital part, which is just up here, and we're going to add some debugs up here. So we know the saved value actually is 0, and the experience level is saving right, and we know that the current level is saving properly, and it should be loading properly. Let me see here. When we assign the get value or current value, let me just come quickly check a modified stat for current value. This is actually a vitals, it's in the vitals class, so let me just quickly load that up. So we have it right here, and what's happening is when it loads up, it checks to see if it's greater than adjusted base value. If it is, it's equal to adjusted base value. And adjusted base value in this case is always 0. I don't think it's actually doing our modified stats properly. That's the next thing I'm going to check anyway. when it's calculating. We have lots of debugging here to help us out. So here's where we're adding them. We'll come down. Here we go. Here's a function we want to call just to see what modifying attributes we actually have applied to it, and also what their ratios are and their adjusted base values. So that's good. That's what we're going to use. So we're going to come over to Game Settings 2, and we can go right after we're done loading this. So I'm just going to make a debug.log. And what I want to get is, well, we're just going to grab this vital. And I should put something in here. I'm going to just throw in debug, just so I can tell exactly what it is. And what I want to debug out was get modifying attribute string. And I've changed my mind on what I'm going to put here. I'm just going to put a space, and I'm actually going to take this name that we're passing in and put that out so I know exactly which one it goes to. And where was our other debug? Right down here. I'm actually going to comment this out. We have no errors on compile, so I'll just start it up. Alright, I keep forgetting that it's not there. It's down here. So let's just start off at the beginning. So here's the first one. For our health, it's grabbing constitution, adjusted base value of 0, and 0.5 is the ratio, energy. So it's not grabbing the adjusted base value. Let's start this up again. We do have 120, so it is actually loading that up fine. I think it actually might be the way we actually have it creating this class. It's probably setting the adjusted base values before we're actually loading them up and assigning the values to them. Honestly, probably the easiest way, and it might just be because it's getting pretty late for me today. What I'm going to do is actually just go into my base character class. This is probably something I'm going to want to have to clean up a little bit later on, but I just want to get it working. Right here where we have setup vital modifiers, I'm going to create a new function, which I'm going to put up here. And, well, I'll make a, well, let's make, I don't want anything outside of this class or its inherited classes to call it. So I'm actually going to call it protected. Well, we haven't actually covered that yet, so let's just keep it public. And I'll just make it void, and I'm just going to say clear modifiers. And all I want to do is go through my vitals and my skills and remove all the modifiers, and also reset them. So resetting's easy. I just recall this. And this, of course. But I want to remove them before I actually set them, because if you notice, these are just actually adding them to it. And our modifiers are stored in a list. So that means they'll just get added to it again, and we don't want to have it added twice, because then it's going to be calculated twice. So we got to find a way to remove it. I'm just going to create some for loops and just iterate through them. So we'll create a counter, and like always, I usually call my CNT. And we'll say as long as CNT is less than vital.length, we'll increase the counter. And I'm going to have to make a method in modified stat to actually clear the modifiers. And I'm going to add it right below the add modifier. And I'll just say remove modifiers. I should say clear modifiers because it's actually getting rid of all of them. And we might not have covered this with a list, but if you take a list, in this case, mods is our actual list. And if you want to get rid of all of them, you can just use the clear method. And that'll actually come through our list up here of all of our modifying attributes and delete them all. So we do have to re-add them all. So we made that public. So I'm going to come back into base character. And now I can just say vital, if I spell it right. And we'll need the index. And we'll just call the clear modifiers. And that should get rid of all of them. And I'm just going to cut and paste this for the skills. So skill.length. And then we'll just come through and clear all the skills. And then reset the modifiers for them. Let's see if that works. We're not getting any errors, and like I said, it's kind of a little hacky way to do it. It should work. It's currently not working. Let me just take a look here. I'll tell you what, let's just go into our GUI and actually get the display in the GUI so we can actually display exactly what it is we want. So we'll cut and paste the attributes part. I'm going to paste it down here, and we're just going to go through and change. Instead of doing the primary attributes, we're going to be doing the vitals. And we'll just go through and change any attribute name or anything related to the attribute to the vitals. So vital name, and right here get primary attribute should be get vital. And we don't want to get the base value. What we actually want is the current value. And I'm going to append onto that a slash. And then what I want after that is the adjusted base value. So that'll actually be the max value of that particular vital. And adjusted base value. Now I have to fix how these are. Oh, I have something wrong. I forgot my plus sign. Now I have to fix how these are displayed because they're going to be displayed right over top of these other ones. So we'll have to move them down, and that's on the Y. So this part here, we actually want to add a number in here. And the number we want to add in here is the number of attributes that we actually have. So we'll put this here. And we might as well cut and paste this because I'm going to need it again in another spot. And that'll be the line below it. So here's the X, and then here's the Y. So I just take where the CNT is and just paste over it. And that should display. I might have to adjust my line size, and we'll just take a quick look here. Yes, I do, and I will see the current value is still 0 and the adjusted base value is 0, but we're going to keep working on those. I want to adjust the line height. Right now I'm currently using 20. I'm going to move it up probably about 3 looks good. I don't want to have to go through and change 3 everywhere because I might have to adjust it again. So I'm just going to quickly make it an integer, and I'm just going to call this line height. And I'll just make it equal to the number that I want my line height to be. Just in case I have to change it, I can just go to the one spot. So we want to go to all the Y positions. So there, here, so where's the comma? So right here, and right there. Does that give me a better positioning? It should. And there we go, everything fits. So let's keep working on this problem here. Let's see if we go ahead and click here. I'm still not getting the modifying string, so let me get rid of that. And I'm going to come back into base, and I just realized that I'm not actually calling clear modifiers anywhere. So let me come into PC, and where we're loading our character, I'm going to do it right before the vitals. I'll hit clear, And let's try this. There we go. Now I'm obviously going to have to make this a little bit wider because the current font I'm using is, well, needs more room. So let me go ahead and adjust that just so we can see it a little bit better. And that's in my GUI, right over here. And the width is right here. Let's see, the X, Y. That's the first part. And here's where the number is. It's basically second last. So I'm making it 25. Again, I'm just going to make it an int because I might need to make adjustments. And I'm just going to say value display width. And currently it's 25. It obviously needs to be bigger. I'm going to say 50. And we'll have to go through and change everything. So the width here, I notice we're subtracting 30, which was our display. And then we'll also need to subtract another 5 for the basic offset that we're using. And here, so the second last one for each of these. And of course here. And don't forget to also subtract the other 5. And here. So hopefully that's wide enough. Nope, still not wide enough, but it is wider. Let's make it even a bit more. 50 moved it about 2 spots, so, or sorry, 25 did. Let's just make it 100 wide. Of course, don't forget you might actually need your actual panel to be wider, and that might actually be an option, because if I maximize on play and you look at the actual size of my display here, I can actually make this panel quite a bit bigger. And I probably will, but right now I just want to get the basic displays working. So let's go ahead and, well, let's make this a little bit bigger. Let's make it 100. And when we hit play, did not adjust, it does not look like anyway. Let me just go ahead and make sure I'm actually fixing this right. Value display width. And I'm going to go ahead and make these buttons. Just so I get a better visualization of what's going on in my little GUI. Silly me, I'm not sure I'm making the buttons wider, but I'm not actually moving them over. So that's what my problem was. And like I said, it is getting late here. So I'm going to bring these back to 50. And we have to move these over on the X. So we'll just replace with this and replace that 25 with that. And let's give this a whirl and see what happens. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and switch them back to labels. It still might even need to be adjusted just a little bit more, but that's good enough for now. I can at least see what's going on. And it does look like it is loading up both values again. So there we go. We now have our attributes showing, our vitals showing. And in the next tutorial, we'll go ahead and do the skills. And well, I think we pretty much covered all the bugs that we've had so far with displaying it. And the skills should go pretty quick. Between now and then, I'll try to get some sleep and try to think of a better way to cobble together the modifying attributes. I probably will leave it to the end, though, as one of the cleanup projects. But anyway, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the favorites button, subscribe if you haven't already, and thumbs up if you liked it. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.